Some interesting points. I mean, did you guys kind of agree with what you were saying, pretty much?
Yeah, no, I think authentic materials can be very motivating.
I'm not sure if you can purely go for that. I don't know if that's the
best
thing.
Right.
There's
definitely a balance.
Integrating them in, but not like having 100%. I think is.
I mean, just like a little anecdote. I worked on a project with in Mexico, the Mexico Advanced course. And it was pure authentic materials. The only material we were allowed to use was authentic materials. And I worked on that for 2 years, and it was so difficult. It was
I did that one here, and like some students came away, like they said, but I just felt there wasn't really any sort of structure to it.
Exactly.
The kind of was built around something, so that
around their level.
So they liked sort of the activities, they liked the classes individually, but they didn't feel that they were particularly going anywhere.
Yeah, there's certain grammar points where it's not worth it because the textbook does it so perfectly.
Exactly. It just brings it in,
and it's
gives an example, then you can get the sheet.
And it's so wide, you know, where you sometimes have to narrow the focus of your lesson. You know what I mean? And so that kind of kind of structure with just having authentic material.
Absolutely.
I agree with you.
No, I mean, let's very quickly summarise some of the key points, because ultimately, if we think about our students, in focus groups we've done, the students really appreciate authentic materials if they're integrated well. I mean, you know, you have this. I mean, I know when I did my CELTA, the only thing I remember about authentic materials was grade the task and not the text. That's it. That's all I remember. But we all know it's so much more difficult to integrate authentic materials than just following that. It's far too simplistic. So why bother? Well, motivating for the student and the teacher. Do we agree that if we kind of understand that the student's motivated, do you feel motivated in the classroom when you've done a nice piece of authentic material and you bring it to students? Do you feel motivated to teach it?
Until it crashes and burns.
Yeah.
Well, you know they're enjoying it, yeah, for sure. But
you know that they are enjoying it from the students' point of view.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. You've got to be careful. Well, we'll come to the guys mentioned. You also mentioned encourages learner autonomy. That part of the roles that we have as teachers is to empower students to find like opportunities outside the class to learn. And most of those learning opportunities, I feel, should be through motivating authentic materials. Prepare students for real life encounters. Obviously, you've got your textbook English, and you get your anecdotes of advanced level students arriving in the UK, not understanding a word. So there is that element as well. Offer students something they can't get elsewhere. I mean, I think in terms of our centre at British Council Colombia, the quality of the teachers is so high, the expertise is so high, that we've got the expertise to use authentic materials in a really productive way, in a really principled way. Which is, if you go to Wall Street or you go to International House, they don't have those skills. So I do think we can offer students something they can't get elsewhere. And finally, it's like a more natural way of learning. That if we kind of place content at the centre of what we're doing, students will become kind of more intrinsically motivated by content. And hopefully, the theory is, in lots of language acquisition theories, is through that motivating content, they will start to develop language through teacher support, rather than the other way, using like language as an organising principle of syllabuses, using motivating content and authentic materials. Basically, have a read of this quote. What does that say to you? What does that kind of, people talk about an authentic approach to learning languages. What does that kind of suggest?
No, yeah, schools, you should try and do that in whatever aspect of teaching. If you're teaching like a grammar syllabus, you should try and make it humanistic and make it things that they're interested in and feed off their interest in what they want.
I think everyone you have that comes into your classroom, regardless of age, colour, creed, whatever, has got at least one of those that they fall into for the reason for being there.
Yeah.
Whether it's a professional capacity or something, social, because you want to go live in a foreign English-speaking country or whatever. It's more than just, I'm learning English because I've been sent to school to do that.
Yeah.
But it's got bigger implications for everyone nowadays, obviously. So.
I mean, you've worked in secondary education.
Yeah.
I mean, they're moving much more towards this, isn't it? It's like the idea of content being the generating factor. Bilingual schools, the QiC, Donald, you've worked on the QiC program here. That kind of idea that instead of putting language at the centre of your syllabus design, you put motivating content. And basically that's kind of a little bit more, I suppose, akin to how we develop our first language, you know. So the idea is a content-based approach, which is fueled by authentic materials, and a more task-based approach, based on authentic tasks. So that's what we're kind of heading towards. But obviously we had some kind of problems, didn't we? We had some kind of issues about authentic material, as we can see over here. So I think it's important when we're integrating authentic material to consider these things. Yeah. Obviously, your student needs come into it, and motivations, and you work from there. But also, you've got this kind of other thing, this institutional element of the syllabus, yeah, which is constrains certain decisions or limits certain decisions that we make. And then also, you've got this, which is the bugbear of all bilingual programs and QiC programs and task-based syllabuses that have ever been invented. How do you balance these things? How do you balance content, task and language focus? I mean, a lot of QiC programs fail because what they do is there's so much content but there's absolutely no language development or focus. Okay? And some of them fail because they're too geared towards developing language, and what happens is the content sometimes fails to get through because the language may be too difficult, or they can't penetrate the subject because the language is too difficult. So this is really, really important to understand in terms of like methodology. What I'd like you to do for one more task is think about what kind of questions you ask yourself. So you've got a piece of authentic material, you want to integrate it into your class tomorrow. What kind of questions would you ask yourself in terms of student needs? Give me one question. What would be go through your head?
Is it culturally offensive?
Is it culturally perfect?
Will it be interesting for us?
Who is interested in this?
Good.
Who in my class is going to
General
actually...
interest.
Excellent. How about content? Actual content. Actual content of the actual text itself.
In terms of language,
Assuming
or in
it's
terms
text,
of
yeah.
Some
Then-
relation to what we're studying.
What we've just previously studied or what we're going to study next.
Okay, so that might also fit into the syllabus as well, wouldn't it? Yeah. How about the task? When you're designing tasks around authentic materials,
Achievable.
Is it
achievable,
Is it too achievable, too difficult?
too difficult?
Pitch too high for the level?
Yeah.
Goes in too low as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Too low. Challenging enough
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Is it authentic to the text? that you're
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Language focus.
what's the frequency of target language items in the
In the text.
In the
Yeah.
text.
I'll give you about 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Just think about these and see if you can think of 3 or 4 key questions that might inform your planning. Yeah. Okay. Very quickly. 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
A wee bit of papilio there.
Got one cutting edge, but
I
right
was
about
in
that.
time.
Targets. Student needs, isn't it? Yeah, maybe student needs and syllabus, isn't it? Who was doing student needs? Yeah, what did you get?
We said cultural appropriacy,
Yeah.
because a general interest. It's got to, you've got to know that you're hitting
Yeah, because you
at least,
mentioned,
70% of your class.
what was your point earlier about teachers' agendas?
Yeah, I love this, so you're going to do this.
Yeah, right.
Because Glenn was just saying there about in Vietnam that there's a text that was all about Big Brother, and just the concept had
Yeah.
fit, reality TV and that idea. It's like
Yeah.
there's no relationship at all to
Yeah,
cultural.
it's quite an interesting one that I did on the advanced course actually, which was about a TV show. What was it called? You know, QiC. Have you ever seen it?
QiC.
Yes.
Season 5.
And it was quite tricky, like to actually kind of get their heads around the purpose of the show.
It's a panel show, but it's kind of a competition, but it's not.
It's not a competition.
Yeah.
Those are cultural references that I found quite difficult.
Well, I remember doing Paxman interviews with Advanced, and they just couldn't believe like the way he was treating the politicians.
Yeah.
He's so aggressive.
Yeah, that just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So I think a key point is do students have enough kind of background knowledge of the text type and the topic and the genre? That kind of thing can cause quite a lot of
And maybe
problems.
say cultural awareness, like they don't, they're not, maybe they, they think Mr. Bean's funny, but they might not think, something else.
The office,
exactly,
or the office is a key.
Yeah.
Right, and also obviously do they have enough strategies to deal with the text type and how you can teach them those strategies. Good, over here, did you do syllabus? Do you do syllabus again?
No, they don't.
Do you do syllabus?
No, we do.
Couldn't summarise this.
Alright, let's think about syllabus. What kind of things we mentioned, do I have to cover 2 units in a week?
Yeah, well,
If you've already got a lot to cover anyway.
Yeah.
It
So
does
what's-
dissuade you a little bit because you do know you are going to have to spend more time prepping, basically. So you do think, like for example, I've got pre and 4 who do 3 modules, but pre and 3 who do 4 modules. So guess who's going to get more authentic.
Well, what do you think's more in terms of like? It's an interesting question. If you've got a syllabus, you look at that syllabus, you've got too much material in that syllabus. You're never going to get through it. Would your response be like, well, actually, I can't integrate with authentic materials?
No.
Oh, no.
Cutting stuff out.
I think
They are going to be technical.
I think we all have to learn, like.
It's like how much
what to
time you can
ditch
spend.
and
And I mean that,
is useful.
And that depends
Yeah.
if you've
For
got
the
a new class, or
students.
you could have a class that you've had for 2 or 3 terms, and you know what they need, and you know what you can immediately discard, or.
I'm supposed to be doing in pre and what do I teach? Pre 1. There's no, pre 2. There's a thing all about giving directions, and I spoke to them. They're not going to be given directions in English to anyone.
Yeah.
So.